My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riff Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriff.com. And my pleasure speaking with Tesla Bassist Brian Wheat today. Welcome to the show, Brian. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, and once again, thanks for doing this, Brian. And I want to share with people listening to this kind of a history, what it took to get this interview going. Kind of a funny story is initially I was supposed to schedule to interview you a few days before Christmas holiday, and what had happened was I went and bought your book. I couldn't find it in any of the bookstores, so I had to order it online. And the funny thing was it was sold out everywhere, and you're not going to believe it. So the day you called for an interview initially, I talked to you. I thought, I'm a Tesla fan. I can still ask Brian some things I know. And you're like, I'd really rather, you wait till you had a chance to read the book. And I'm glad you did that. But the funny part of the story is, the minute I kid you not, Brian, the minute I hung up with you, I go down and check my mailbox, and it is there. But it made for a great read, so I'm glad I finally get a chance to talk to you about it.
Well, good. I'm good. It's always good if
what you're talking about. Yeah,
that you read it.
Yeah.
Because I know they send out a thing.
Yeah.
With some bullet points and stuff to ask, and I can tell when people are just reading that.
Yeah. Well,
it makes for a better interview because you may ask a question that no one asks. No one ever asks. So I like that.
Well, I'll tell you my overall thing with the book. It makes for a great read. First of all, it makes for a fast read. I mean, the way the book flows is just really nice, and you go kind of chronologically, which makes sense. But overall, my overall impression is, you're really honest in it. But I love the fact that, like I got to say, I had one image of, Tesla's a great rock band that I grew up listening to, and you guys had great songs, and a lot of people have image of, like I did, of Tesla. You guys, bunch of nice guys. I mean, you didn't have a reputation, let's say, of Motley Crue or a Rat. And reading the book, and seeing how all the members of Tesla kind of at one point or another had suffered through drug addiction. I mean, you were really open, and especially with your own personal, addiction. And it was an interesting read because you seem like the last guy in the band that would get addicted. And then at one point it happened to you, even.
Well, the reason I talk about the drugs, period, is, when people sit there and say, well, why did you break up for 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, that had a lot to do with it. At that time we were all kind of in and out of various stages of using, with the exception of Troy, who had been clean for some time.
Yeah.
So, it was more for, when I put that in there, it was more for young bands that maybe read the book to say, hey, look, if you can, you don't have to make the same mistakes we did.
Yeah.
You don't have to break up because you lose control. Recognize what it is and try to fix it. And that's why I put it in there. Yeah,
and what's interesting, and see the thing, reason I'm bringing it up too is, I mean, except for Tommy, for a lot of you guys, a lot of fans who know of other guys were suffering with drugs. I mean, Tommy's, I guess, got the most out of control, but it almost sounds like, your addiction too kind of snuck up on you. I mean, I was kind of interested when, you bring up the fact that you and Frank started the band together. You've been friends probably with him the longest. And even though he had his own drug addiction, he's kind of disappointed, like, oh man, Brian, I can't believe you got hooked too,
Yeah, well, look, I tell people, most people do drugs. They do it, you do it when you're a kid out of curiosity and peer pressure and stuff. So it's not like we were choir boys,
No.
Far from it. But, and it wasn't talked about that much ever in the press because we didn't get a lot of press.
Oh yeah. I think I read somewhere in the book that, like, the whole, Tesla's whole career, you guys even only had, like, maybe one cover story. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, one cover story our whole career.
Yeah, and the final thing with drugs, I mean, it's very amazing because you guys were able to keep it so under wraps, but you came out on the other side, and there's all kind of unique things about Tesla. I'll tell you, one thing I always dug about the band was somebody was online and said the other day, like on Facebook this was, and they're like, is there a rock band out there that taught you something? I said, Tesla comes to mind because I always thought it was cool that if it wasn't for listening to this band from Sacramento, not that I didn't learn about Nikola Tesla, but I think he wouldn't be as well known today as he is, because his little rock band from Sacramento, and I understand your manager had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, well, he's the one that suggested the name, absolutely.
Yeah.
Up until the car company, we were the only people that, brought that name to light. Now, the car company, everyone knows about him because, the car company's huge. It's funny, today I'll ring up somebody and say, they'll say, who's calling? I'll say, this is Brian Lee from Tesla, and they'll be like, oh, from the car company?
Yeah.
No, from the band. Oh, I haven't heard of the band.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, but yeah.
And just as a fan, I know from reading the book too, it seems like, Tesla, when you guys were first coming out with the debut album and stuff, there's a lot of attention around the band. Everybody was loving the band. That's a great debut album, but it almost seems like, and you tell me, because I'm just seeing this from a fan, it almost seemed like when you guys got the band back together and put out Into the Now, I mean, you almost came back in a bigger way, and you guys have remained on kind of that success ever since. Did that surprise you guys when you came back and kind of in even a bigger way?
Well, I think it surprised a lot of people when we came back and we did what we did with Into the Now.
Yeah.
It certainly was a very good album.
Oh yeah, and I think part of the reason for that, Into the Now, I mean, that was probably of all the Tesla albums, I mean, that was just a full-blown on metal album. I mean, it had kind of, the one radio hit, which was Caught in a Dream, but everything else was like full-blown on metal, and it's that was quite a statement at the time. Tesla's coming back, and this is what we sound like.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of that record. We did a lot of hard work getting that record together.
Yeah, and I got to say that like a lot of people, probably one of my all-time favorite Tesla albums has got to be the 5-man acoustical jam for a lot of reasons. But I mean, you guys really got to be given the credit for really starting that unplugged craze, because right after that album came out, that's when they came out with the MTV Unplugged, and I mean, everybody was doing it after you guys.
Yeah, well, we didn't really start it. I mean, Unplugged was already out. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, it took off even bigger, maybe I should say.
We were certainly the first ones to do a live acoustic album.
Yeah.
So that we did.
And even being an acoustic album, I mean, what I love about that as a live album, I mean, the raw energy, you put that CD on and man, you feel like you're there,
Yeah, no, that's very true. And that's the beauty of that album.
Yeah, and the thing I've always loved about Tesla music is, you guys are a hard rock band and stuff, and you got elements of metal, but there's a little something for everybody, and you guys also sometimes get pigeonholed because a lot of people either know you for Signs or Love Song, and they're like, oh, Tesla, one-hit wonder. But if you really dig into the music, I mean, you got a lot more hits than just that,
Yeah, definitely. We got a few.
Yeah, and
we got a pretty good body of work after 35 years.
Oh, and that's the thing I really got to give you guys credit for, because Tesla's at a point in their career where they could say, like a lot of established bands, music's not selling like it used to. People aren't really buying CDs, but I love the fact that you guys continue to put out new music for the fans.
Yeah, no, it's we do it because we enjoy making music, and we like to have something new now and again, and it is difficult when people aren't buying records anymore. So, but we do it for fans, and we do it for ourselves as well.
Yeah, and getting back to the book, Brian, I gotta say another thing I really love about the book. I mean, it really flows nice. I mean, I really would go to bed every night before I go to bed. Okay, I'm going to read this, and I'd read like a chapter a night, and never got bored. And I got to say, it wasn't one of those books where you're like ragging on all your bandmates or I mean, you were as hard on yourself as anybody else. So my question is, what was the hardest thing for you about, being so open and honest and writing this book?
I don't know that it was that hard, because once I made the decision to do the book,
mm-hmm.
it was, I'm gonna keep it honest instead of try to make myself look like, some
super duper
guy or great, or it was just, I just thought I'd tell the story. So I guess the hardest part was just remembering everything.
Yeah. And did you have people to help you kind of remember stuff that you forgot initially, or did you?
No.
Oh, that's great. And I got to ask, like, in regards to like Tommy Skew, have you guys kept in touch, or you kind of just like aware of what he's doing or anything?
No.
Oh, okay. But I was interested too. I've known you and Tommy had some issues over years, but I was kind of surprised because I guess like a lot of times when you're a band, you keep things kind of under wraps. But a lot of people, I think, were surprised to learn about that. You and Troy didn't get along for so well, but for a while. But you said like since then we've made up, and that's pretty cool.
Well, we used to butt heads a lot, but we're great today, and we've been great for several years. I mean, look, there's a brotherhood in that band.
Yeah.
And, not with Tommy.
No, I understand.
With the four of us, me, Frank, Troy, and Jeff, and even Dave Rude now. He's been there 14 years.
Yeah, that's hard to believe, huh? Yeah.
So, sometimes brothers argue and butt heads. Well, there's always a couple of brothers that don't get along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Troy was just the one guy that me and Troy would butt heads.
Yeah, and
and that's all right, because that's what brothers do. And we were all right. We might not talk to each other for a couple of days, and then we'd make up and stuff. And I was just telling the story as it was.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
because other people have said, well, you kind of singled out Troy. And it's like, no, I didn't single him out.
No. I guess the point I'm making here is that, well, for years, people knew that there was some friction between maybe you and Tommy and some of the other guys, but I never heard like of this friction between, like, say, you and Troy. And I guess my point is, you kept it.
Well, that's because everyone always focused on Tommy and his problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And including the band. So.
And you think the issues?
I don't really, look, I'll keep it really simple. There's no love lost between me and Tommy Skew. So, he's not in the band anymore, and he's not been in the band for almost 15 years. So, rock on, dude.
Yeah, I got you. And even
but with Troy, it's funny because we're closer today than we've ever been.
That's amazing, and
we still, sometimes will annoy each other.
Oh yeah, like brothers, you said.
But we always work through it, and that was the point I was trying to make.
Oh yeah.
As long as you have a common respect on each side, or a common love, or whatever it is.
Oh, I certainly got that from.
Sometimes we disrespect each other.
Yeah.
And that's what causes problems.
Yeah.
But because there's something stronger than that, you overcome it. And that was the thing with me and Troy, where, someone like Tommy, you never had that deeper bond.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's, look.
It is what it is.
Everyone knows about his problems.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And I mean, I got the point, like you were just kind of saying, well, this is the way it used to be, and we get along great now. Do you think any of it?
And that's what I was saying, exactly.
And do you think any of it ever had to do with the fact that he was a little older than the other guys in the band?
Maybe.
Yeah.
He could be fatherly at times.
Yeah.
And look, Troy's an incredible musician.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
He holds a high standard, and if sometimes if I didn't meet that standard, he'd
call you on it, so to speak. Yeah,
he'd call me on it, and sometimes it stung. And if it's stung, I bit back in other ways. So,
And
but,
obviously,
look, I mean, me and him been playing together for almost 40 years.
Wow. And that's something right there.
People say, man, we can't believe how incredibly tight the two of you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
When you play, and that's natural.
Yeah.
That just kind of happens natural. In the beginning, Troy, taught me how to be a better bass player.
Oh, wow.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And
some of the times the way he went about it used to rub me the wrong way. That's all.
Yeah. Like you said, older and wiser now, right?
Yeah. He's my brother, man. I love him.
I love hearing that. And I will say, even in regards to Tommy, the final thing I'll say on him is, I thought you were also very complimentary of the guy. I mean, for anybody to say that he didn't have a chance, I mean, you guys let him come back when the band got back together. It didn't work out. But even in the book, you say, hey, my main thing with this guy, besides he couldn't get his addiction together, was the fact that, he looks like a rock star. He played great. If he could just get this, get his stuff together, it's very unfortunate. And that's kind of where you ended it.
Well,
and so,
look, he made his own bed.
Yeah, exactly.
He was given every chance. To get it together. He got an incredible amount of support from the band. Like when Troy got sober, he got no support from the band.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I read that. Yeah,
whatsoever. Poor Troy, he got no support. He managed. It just goes to show you, Troy really wanted to get sober.
Yeah.
He did it without the help of his band.
Yeah, very interesting.
Where Tommy had all the help he could
get
ever
at the time.
want.
Yeah.
And still couldn't manage to get it together, which is why ultimately
he left.
Not in the band.
Yeah. And then another topic I'd like to talk about that's in the book, throughout the entire book, is your friendship with Joe Elliott. And you were saying in the book that what initially made you and Joe so close is you both have a mutual love for, the Beatles and Paul McCartney. And you're like, if it wasn't for that, I don't know. But, talk a little bit about that. And then I know you'd actually met Paul McCartney at one point.
Yeah, I did. And that's how me and Joe bonded. We bonded over some Paul McCartney and Wings songs.
Yeah.
And from that day on, we've been really good buddies,
And you can feel it.
I love Joe Elliott. He's one of my heroes. He's that band, that's his band.
Oh, of course.
Def Leppard's his band. And you just, he's that guy.
Yeah.
And, I have a lot of respect and admiration for him.
Yeah,
because he's a very driven individual.
Yeah.
And I look up to him and try to, he's a role model for me.
Yeah, and you can feel the love he has for you just in that foreword he wrote. I mean, it was beautiful,
Yeah, and as far as Paul McCartney, he's my hero. I'm of the opinion on the eighth day God created Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And I've met him a couple of times, and he's been so gracious and nice.
Yeah.
Both times I met him, that it's just it's great when your heroes, you meet them and they turn out to be everything that you hope they would be.
And I'm sure that's something you've learned from people like that when fans come up to you like that. Hey, I better set this kind of example when I meet my fans.
I try to.
I
tried to.
Yeah.
You always try to, but that's the other thing I talk about in the book is my health issues and some of the things that I deal with, and sometimes fans think I'm standoffish, and a lot of the time it's because I'm shy. For one, it doesn't come natural to me, and two, I may be suffering from colitis or whatever, my autoimmune disease, and I don't feel well. So, but I try to make a conscious effort to give them a minute and say hello and listen to, but if it's cold out and I'm sick, I may just say, sorry guys, not tonight, I gotta get in the bus, because the being able to play the show is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I've really got to try to take care of myself.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting reading in the book. You were like, had I never heard the Beatles or Paul McCartney, I might have became a bass guitar player. But Do you even remember, like, what was your first Beatles song or first Beatles album you ever?
Eleanor Rigby, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oh yeah. You mentioned that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Just think about the turns your life takes because just the song you heard, on the radio.
Yeah. No. Right.
Yeah.
What a trip.
Yeah. And also speaking of Def Leppard, you guys also wrote a great song that's featured on Psychotic Supper, the third album, Song and Emotion that you guys wrote and dedicated to the late great Steve Clark. I always thought that was so cool of you guys.
Yeah, well, he was our buddy.
Yeah. It's hard to believe he's been gone now. It's just past the 30th anniversary of his death earlier, this month.
Yeah, no, I know. It is
pretty amazing. And
yeah.
And I gotta say, Brian, I'm not surprised to find out you're such a Beatles fan because I gotta tell you, the one thing that I've always loved about Tesla is you guys got a great catalog of music because you guys are all great songwriters, and I gotta tell you, Brian, some of my favorite songs are ones that you're a writer on,
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, and so, and to that end, I was curious, like, after doing it for almost 40 years in the business, how surprised are you when you have people come up to say, Brian, this song you wrote, it means so much to me?
Well, it's very flattering and humbling,
Yeah.
It's a great feeling when someone, says, I love Paradise or something.
Yeah.
Right. And please, are you playing Paradise tonight? Or, or something. I mean, that's probably, my favorite song I ever wrote.
And you talk a little bit about that in the book, the fact that, it's a song that you actually play the piano on. And, I was kind of curious, like, is that a song at that point you'd had laying around for a while, or talk a little bit about the?
No, not at all. It's kind of the. I mean, I wrote some of the songs on the first album. Like "Love Me and Frank," "Coming at You Live." I had a bit to do with, and then the other three I wrote on that album were just bits. Where everyone was contributing. So when we got to the second album, the first major song I presented that was something that, I kind of did, everything with the lyrics was Paradise.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. It
was different because it had piano and
Yeah.
I was going for this Queen Beatles thing.
Oh, you got it, man. And
so we were coming from, being a blues-based rock band, and all of a sudden I was trying to jump to Abbey Road,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was a struggle because part of the band didn't really want to put it on the record.
Do you feel that song, because it was on the same album with Love Song, kind of got...
overshadowed?
Yeah.
That version did.
Yeah.
Because, see, I think the real version, the definitive version of Paradise is the version on 5 Man.
I was just getting ready to say that, because I don't know what it is. It almost took it to...
and that's kind of the way I presented it in the beginning. But because you had Way It Is on that album and Love Song, you had to try to make it as epic sounding as you could.
Yeah, and I think the live version really does that. I mean, it almost takes it to the, next level. And I think after the 5-man acoustic jam, a lot more people maybe didn't hear that song before, kind of just went to Love Song or something.
They might have skipped over it on Great Radio Controversy.
Yeah.
On 5-man acoustic jam, it was the second single.
You couldn't help but take notice of it. I mean, it reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you've ever heard the original version of Cheap Trick's I Want You to Want Me. It almost sounds like a swampy country song, but you listen to the version on Budokan, and man, they really took that to the next level.
Yeah, I love Cheap Trick.
Yeah, and as you can tell just from talking to me, Brian, I've been a long-time Tesla fan, and I got to give you guys credit as far as, your marketing stuff. I mean, the greatest example of that is I remember seeing you guys on the Reel to Reel tour, and at the time when you could still buy CDs in the store, everybody was able to get, Volume 1, but if you wanted to get Volume 2, you had to go see the band live. And I'll tell you, not just for that, but that was a big part of why I got a ticket to that show. And I remember walking in the concert hall and being handed a free copy of Volume 2, and I said, oh man, this was just for this, having it in my hands. The collection is complete now.
Yeah, I love that series, those 2 records.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fun making those two records.
And see, that was a cool thing because, I mean, at that point people had already known that Tesla could do great covers. But what I love about Tesla is there's some bands that they do a lot of covers because, it's a fast way to make a buck. But Tesla's own original music is just as great as the stuff you guys have covered,
Well, we were fans of music before we learned how to write songs. So
yeah.
That's why we do covers. I mean, I could give you 10 covers we could do today and do another reel-to-reel 3.
Yeah.
And maybe we will do a reel-to-reel 3. Just to get us back into doing something when this COVID thing lifts up.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I personally would love that. And before we wrap up the interview, final question I got is, I want to ask about the latest CD, 5-Man London Jam. What I loved about it, okay, I understand it's like a 30th anniversary of the original album, but I love the fact that you didn't just go and make a carbon copy. We're going to put some of the songs that came after the first album on here, and as a Beatles fan, you must have just loved the fact that you recorded it at Abbey Road.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, sitting in Abbey Road, playing my Hofner bass, doing "We Can Work It Out."
Oh yeah.
Where Paul McCartney, wrote and recorded the song in 1965 was a pretty incredible high for me.
Oh yeah, and you must have been thinking, oh man, just think I'm seeing the same studio Paul McCartney made all those great Beatles tunes, and
yeah,
and I again with 5-Man acoustical jam, I got to say, you guys had a great version of "We Can Work It On" there, but it seems to have been overshadowed by some of the other songs. But I think on the new release, because it's a different sounding version, you guys released it as a single, so more people have had a chance to hear it. It was almost giving your version of it a second life.
Yeah, well, that song, look, it's one of those great songs written, by Paul McCartney, and we always enjoy playing that one.
Yeah, and love the fact that anyone who's got the London Jam album, you guys put out a great DVD and Blu-ray of it. It's kind of cool to have that to go along with the CD.
Yeah.
And I just can't say enough nice things. So I understand you guys have kind of because of all this COVID stuff, you're not really working on any music, but are you writing towards maybe getting together?
Well, I was talking with Frank and Jeff the other day, so we're talking about maybe starting to work on writing some songs for a new record.
And then
take it kind of easy, but get back on the horse and try to write some tunes. Yeah.
And then the London Jam, I got to say too, I love the new version of Paradise on there. Again, much like what you did on.
Signs, Paradise, Love Song, and We Can Work It Out were all on that record because they were on the first record. And then, like you said, we did a bunch of stuff since then, like What You Give, Stir It Up.
Stir It Up, that's, I was going to say, that's always been one of my...
the version of Miles Away acoustic is really cool.
Yeah, but Stir It Up, I mean, that's always been one of my favorite tracks. I don't know why it didn't get more love, but that's really fitting to put on an acoustic album like this. Yeah. Well, Brian, right, I want to thank you.
Next one.
Okay, yeah. The interview will be going up in early February, so I'll let Chip know once it gets posted. But thanks for doing this. Let's keep in touch, okay?
Okay, buddy. You take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much.